Hello and welcome to the Perkcast, episode 11, with a title to be determined slash in progress slash we'll make it up later. Uh, I'm your host, Andrew, here with co-owners of Perk, Alan, and Coconut Butt, Philip. And we are joined this week by Perk extraordinaire, who will learn about your story, Jesh. Welcome to the show.
Yeah. Appreciate you having me on.
So, Jesh, I don't know if we've had a conversation in a group like this at all since I've been part of the team. So I'm pretty excited to have you because I know I've seen you on a lot of Monday calls, but this is now I get to actually learn about you and uh, share it with everybody. So do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, yeah. So I've been in coffee relatively for, I guess, a short period of time compared to a lot of our peers here, only since 2019. It was a later in life career change for me. And I started out by opening up a shop in Columbus, Georgia with an old acquaintance, and we ran the thing there and got that was my introduction to coffee. Uh, and because of COVID, we had to shut down uh, the business. So I was unemployed there for a few months. But while that time period was happening, uh, with the coffee shop I was involved with, I was mainly focused on the food and seasonal drinks and seasonal food items. But when COVID started, just like fell super deep into coffee. I was trying to learn as much as I can since we had a lot of free time, obviously, during that time. I mean, I was like every day, just like I was on certain like coffee programs, learning of espresso theory and trying to dive in on why we do the things that we do, like looking at molecular level and things like that. Then I started to like just buying as much coffee as I can from like as much roasters as I can and just tasting as much as I can. I had a good time. And so I was like, you know what? Like, I really want to work in coffee now. So uh, it was in that time period. Like, I have two kids, and my youngest was like only a few months old. And I was like, yeah, coffee is the thing I want to do. It's exciting. Uh, and I started just looking for coffee jobs in Georgia, and I saw that was hiring baristas for their first Atlanta shop, which is the Eastlake location. And I got hired on as a shift lead barista for our Eastlake location. That was we opened in August 2020 was when we opened that shop. Yeah, uh, yeah, that's kind of like how I started there with it.
Your Perk origin
Since
story.
Yeah, yeah, and
That's how you
uh,
came to Perk. That's like when you got bitten by the spider. So this is like now now you start finding out your superpowers though. No copyright because this is just a generic superhero I'm coming up with.
yeah, it was awesome. Like that first time period of like opening that shop in Eastlake. So I was still living in Columbus. So I was driving and like both ways to work. Uh, and I still remember like one of my first training days, and a shot of Brazil, just like our Brazil legender. And at that point, I was like with espressos, only very familiar with another roasting company's like their standard espresso black cat. And I still remember that Brazil legender. I was like, man, the straight melted chocolate bar. It like blew my mind. And then a shot of the salsa, the Ethiopia, the mixture Ethiopia, like that was wild to me when I first started. Uh, and on drip was like crazy. Uh, yeah, I mean, so we open up middle of COVID, serving outside the window. Yeah, rocked it out. A really solid team back then.
And so you started as a lead barista. What's happened since then? Because I know you're not a lead barista anymore.
Yeah. So it was a shift lead at that time.
Okay,
Uh,
shit.
yeah, and so I was there for a few months, and then I did leave the company for a little bit. Uh, and mainly, it was at that time a little kind of hard to find somewhere to stay in Atlanta, somewhere to live. So
Sure.
it was a little
It's a
rough
long drive.
then. Yeah. So at that point, I left the company a little bit, and a few months later, when I called up Alan, I think it was Penny's birthday actually. Like when I called you, I didn't know. You're like, "Oh, it's Penny's birthday today." I'm like, "Oh my God, sorry." But yeah, it was like I had heard that Savannah was like in the talks of trying to reopen the shop in Savannah, but not in the roasting space, but in the space next to it that's just separated by a door and a brick wall. Uh, so I just called Alan. I was like, "Hey, like I'd love to talk about managing it if you'd like to consider me." Uh,
I think you actually asked, like, would it be okay if I applied to that? Like, yes.
yeah,
Of course.
yeah, definitely. Uh, yeah, it was cool. I mean, uh, so it worked out, after a couple of interviews, and I packed up my family and moved down to Savannah. I had only been to Savannah one time prior to moving, and that was to go down there. And like, I'm like, at least I need to put some eyes on the city before I move. So we went down there. Then I got to meet Philip like in person uh, in the shop. Well, not like meet for the first time. I know we had met when H2 opened, when Eastlake opened. Yeah, we moved, got to manage the shop and uh, reopen like a temporary bar situation in an empty space. We just wanted to go ahead and start serving coffee like as soon as we can during the pandemic. Now that we have that space available to us. Uh,
I feel like
and
that's around when I first met you or knew you, because you were managing. That was the pop up. We
yeah,
called it, right, Perk pop up. Yeah. So that's when
yep,
I didn't realize you had just come back at that point, and that I thought you were basically around since the beginning. The
yeah,
inception of. I mean, you were right. You were, but yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
That was some fun times too. I mean, we had to uh, we like got some stuff together. I got a Linear Mini. Uh, and we started off with like a Marconi grinder, the peak, like the older peak, and then eventually we got like the grind by weight E65, and I mean a really sick setup for a pop up. And got to hire a little team and train them, a lot of newcomers to the coffee. Yeah, rocked it out there for about a year, right, Philip? I think. Yeah,
Yeah. 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 It was awesome. It was really, to just interject, being able to get to spend a lot of time with Jesh has been awesome. I definitely miss having him just in the desk next to me. One of the things that's super special about Jesh, amongst a lot of things, is how he sets the culture of a team. And it's something that it's one of those things. There's lots of things that you can teach. We talk about the tools that you can teach people to manage or to be a barista or these kind of things, but there's an innate like leadership ability and like this culture setting where he leads a team. It's just awesome to watch, and it's infectious. So it's so awesome to have you on the team, Jesh. I
yeah,
don't mean to
appreciate it.
gush, but
No, you're good. Yeah,
Jesh is the best.
yeah,
There's other people that are the best too, but Jesh is right up there.
I appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah,
uh,
we Philip and I lost track of time plenty of times working, there and sitting next to each other. We get on a topic, and I heard the Brad podcast, and it was like what you mentioned, Alan, of like Philip, like I got an idea, and like then we just like for like 2 hours talk about some ideas for Perk Shop, like the new bar that we were starting to design and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah, it'd be interesting to go back and think about which one survived and which one didn't. I still want to add the like lotto balls where people that don't know what they're going to order spin the balls and we pull out a ping pong ball and whatever number is associated with whatever drink they have to get.
nice.
that'd be an interesting thing, actually. Alan might not be on board, but
Or like a wheel of fortune. They spin the wheel, and
yeah,
it's
that's
like,
like
oh, you're
you know
getting a
you.
cappuccino. Decaf.
Bad times latte.
It's like the bankrupt.
You can redraw one
Sorry.
time.
That's how
That's
someone
funny.
comes in and gets a perk shake that they weren't ready for.
Yeah, it's a good one
Right.
though.
That'll change your whole day. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they'd be happy.
What's the perk shake? Since you bring up a drink.
Yeah, perk shake is like coffee milkshake.
Mm.
We have like an espresso, frozen espresso, some nice and creamy ice cream, and
Oh man.
and some good times syrup. So it's almost like our good times, but in a milkshake form. Not for the lactose
probably super
intolerance folks.
No, when Jesh says some ice cream, it's 2/3 of a pound of ice cream. Like the thing is serious.
It's a milkshake for sure. Like
Yeah.
true milkshake, yeah.
It's-
But hey,
Oh, man,
you know,
that's
some people,
yeah.
like even in the morning, you know, we have some people who love to get it like 8 o'clock in the morning. You know, and that's great.
Yeah.
A
No
lot
replacement.
of caffeine, a lot of sugar. So
So-
just after that,
Yeah.
so you make your Amber is currently managing, right, H2 or Eastlake, and Amber is then promoted to director of retail, which leaves an opening for a potential opening for a manager at Eastlake, and that's when everything changes.
Yeah.
Jesh, you take over.
That's the end of
Yeah.
episode 1. Jesh
To be
strikes
continued.
back. Here we go.
Yeah. So yeah, our fearless leader, Amber, like her and I were having a conversation, and she was telling me about how, like, you know, there was a couple open positions up there, and it was just casual. You know, we were just having like a normal check-in. And to be honest, personally, I had been trying to move to Atlanta for like 10 years. Like, I had always wanted to live up there. You know, I lived in Columbus for a while, got married. My wife's from Columbus, and it took a while for us to kind of like want to leave that area, you know, because of different circumstances. But I had the itch to like move to Atlanta, to the city, and so Amber had mentioned to me about you know, there were some opportunities up there, and I was just like, what if I come up to Atlanta? And I remember just kind of like, I guess it was very unexpected. Like, obviously, like I just moved to Savannah with the fam, and I just kind of was like, I'd do it. I'd come up if you have me. And so yeah, worked out. I again grabbed my family, and we moved to Atlanta. We've been in Savannah for about a year, so became the GM for Eastlake location, which we call internally H2, and it is at that time was the only shop with a full kitchen and like dedicated kitchen staff. So it's kind of like our big store, where we have a lot to offer there, like a really strong, I would say like a nice stronghold of our like local area, like Kirkwood and Oakhurst, like always very busy shop and amazing support from the community. So yeah, it was exciting to come up, and since I love food and I have background of like cooking and running already, like my little kitchen that I have with my old shop, I was up for the challenge. You know, like I love it. You know, I love being able to deal with like extremely busy shops, and the food aspect really, and allowed me to play with like my creative side and like help create some food dishes or whatever, and also like some of our signature drinks and stuff. So yeah, I started there at H2. It was like 2021, and then
Well, let's take an aside. Let's take an aside because talking about your creative dishes, I know that's something I want to talk about just because I've heard tell of them, but don't know exactly what all of them are like. You know, you need to narrate me through a taste experience the way Alan narrates me through what this cup of coffee tastes like. But yeah, so I mean, the two that I know off the top of my head are the Crunch Wrap and the Good Times Latte, because they're kind of like signatures at this point. And I think you are the mastermind behind those, but you can tell us about anything that you want to talk about, really.
Right. Sure. Well, I'm not gonna take
Your
credit for the
favorite.
good times. I didn't do the good times. That's like
Okay.
that's our main like most popular drink. Like everyone loves good times. So good. And yeah, I was not involved with that.
Okay.
But yeah, I have like other drinks and food items. I guess with food, I'll talk about the successful ones. We've had ones uh, that I think are good, but like it doesn't sell too much, and
Sure.
that's okay. But like we love being creative and throwing out a couple things to serve for a while. But so like we start off with doing the deluxe, which is like the like my take on a McGriddle kind of, but like big boy, like you don't need to eat anything for hours and gotta take a nap after. But yeah, we like French toast, brioche bun, cook up 2 sausage patties, and sausage is like fantastic. I love our sausage. Uh, and some American cheese, and we do like a folded egg. So we stack it, and then we cover the bread with some maple syrup on the inside, so it's sweet uh, and savory. It's super good, and we've had that in the menu now for a while. We did like a little fall French toast thing that was on there for a little bit. Um, Same thing, French toast with some like cinnamon apples on there, fig jam, pumpkin seeds, and then I guess I'll say our most successful creation was the Crunch Wrap, uh, which was like so interesting how that came about. Like I grew up making like breakfast burritos in the house because my parents used to do it all the time, like tater tots um, and do it for the kids. I'll do like breakfast like quesadilla or whatever. One day I made one and I took a picture, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it was the same day Amber had texted me and was like, "I've been thinking of doing like a breakfast like thing, like taco quesadilla," and I was like, "I'm literally been thinking of doing that too." Like I sent her that picture, and I was like, "I literally just did this, and I'm thinking about like how we can do this." Uh, so yeah, we started researching and like searching ingredients, and we came out with our crunch wrap, which it's like a tortilla, and then we do world famous perk sauce in there, and then we do hash brown cheese, uh, a soft scrambled egg, and then bacon or sausage is an option for the customers. We wrap that up and get that pressed to get it look nice and crunchy and toasty, and we always
Like
get a Cholula hot sauce.
it's like the crunchy and the gooey and with a little spice to it.
It is so good.
Yeah, it's a good like carry out item type of thing. But yeah, that has been extremely successful, and like I remember we released it. It's like it did fairly well for about like a week or two, and then we posted it on Instagram, and it was like night and day. Like after we posted it on Instagram, we were selling so many crunch wraps that like at one point we even like ran out of tortillas, and I'm like running to the store. I'm like, we need tortillas ASAP, because like I did not expect it to be like that big of a growth of it, and like yeah, it's been killing it ever since then.
That's awesome.
Nice.
I just
When you have
want
a
to call
drink
out how
oh, sorry.
hang on before that. I want to call it
Yeah.
how rare it is. Well, so first, like that shop, which was our first first standalone shop, like having a food program that is not an afterthought. Like we take
Right.
the food really seriously and churn out. I mean the crunch wrap is incredible. The classic breakfast Sammy we've been doing there since we opened is the best breakfast sandwich in town. Like full stop. It is as good as it gets. So having some essentially restaurant food that is phenomenal, breakfast food, and a coffee shop that is doing things like, and you mentioned this Asaba, like there aren't a whole lot of places in the world you can go to get a natural Ethiopia espresso, or right now it's a Costa Rica espresso, all of the time. And to have both of those under one roof is just it's so rare. And then the kind of person that it takes to run that, like there aren't a lot of coffee people who have a strong food background, and there aren't a lot of food people who have a strong coffee background. Like, so you're one of those rare folks that's able to manage all of that and keep it in balance. And I know it's not ideal when the manager has to be at the espresso machine making drinks, or in the in the kitchen making eggs, but at the same time, like, everyone on the staff knows that you can and will do those things at any time. So it just speaks to, like, how special you are that you're able to do all of those things so well.
And I've seen him do it while taking meetings at the same time as well. So he's also able to do it.
Yeah,
definitely.
I can double test a little bit. I mean, I say it all the time. Like, I think I've told you, like, I agree with, like, breakfast Sammy. Like, I don't know, and I know I'm biased, obviously, but, like, what breakfast place, like, in Atlanta can you get, like, that coffee, the combination of, like, sick coffee, and then of, like, cook to order fresh breakfast sandwich or crunch up or whatever, and have it in your hand in the busiest times, maybe like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and you have breakfast and coffee like that quick. Like, there's other breakfast spots in Atlanta that I love dearly, like, but like, I have to wait for 45 minutes, before I get food, like,
Totally.
and a lot of that credit goes to, like, an amazing staff, that we have, and I have, like, back of house and front of house. Like, my line cooks can put out some orders easily, like, no problem, no stress too, and they're just, like, knocking out these sandwiches. And same with the baristas, like, I think, like, we have the top, like, baristas and line cooks, like, in the city. So, because they handle the stress well, and they knock it out.
That was a hard process to get to that. Like, there was, so Eastlake is the shop that, I live in Eastlake, and it's the shop that, like, I want to go to. And there was a period for probably a year where I would not go there on the weekend, because if I did, there's a 100% chance that I was going to end up sending my family home, and I was going to throw an apron on and, like, go make some eggs. Because, I mean, it was, you just couldn't add more load to it. And now you've been able to establish a team that has so many strong players on the team that they can handle that. And you say 10 to 15 minutes, but, like, it's usually like 4.5 minutes, and food and drink are both coming out, and it's ridiculous. It's awesome.
And just to back up a little bit, when we talked about starting retail shops and why of it, we had been in business outside of our little sort of tasting room that was in the roastery. We had been in business for almost 10 years at that point. And throughout that process, we'd worked with a lot of really wonderful wholesale clients, but I think it's been established on the podcast, I have a lot of ideas, and almost every one of those ideas were met with, well, this is why we can't do this, or this is why it's too hard, or the customers aren't savvy enough to get this, or they won't pay for this, or a lot of underestimation of a customer base, what I would think, or a staff. We're not going to be able to do these things. And so, our shops, and particularly Eastlake, was started with this idea, like, yes, we can. We're going to figure out all the most amazing things that we wished a coffee shop would do, and then work on processes to meet that outcome, rather than just say the outcome's too hard, so we're not going to even consider what the process could be. So, I mean, we have the flight on the menu is something we don't talk about. That's, like, awesome and really cool. We don't sell a ton of them, but for the folks I think that get them, and then that's something we do too. We look at the data and see. We even were talking about this just the other day. These drinks are top sellers. Of course, the mocha and the latte are going to be top sellers, but that doesn't mean that the cold fashion and the flight don't have a place on the menu for the 6 people who walked in that day and were like, so over the moon that they were able to get a flight at a coffee shop, which is, I'm sure there are other places that have flights, but not every coffee shop you can get that and taste a lot of single origins and get a sense of what all the coffees they have. So, and this is all due in large part to Jesh and to Amber and their team. A lot of work on processes and also hiring good people and training good people. So it all comes down to people in the end. And if the people are there and you say, hey, figure out how to make this happen for the most part by any means necessary, and Jesh is going to make it happen. And he's going to then also say, and what about this? And you're going to be like, yes, do that. So cool. And I miss sitting around where every other day he'd bring me something to be like, hey, taste this. You know what I mean? And you'd be like, I'd taste it. I'm like, what am I tasting? And he's like, oh, it's just something I'm working on. It's so cool. And speaking of which, you have a new drink about to hit the menu, right? Or not a new drink, I'm sorry. Returning drink that is a little bit of a Jesh specialty.
Yeah.
And tell us about that.
Yeah, starting December 1st, our new winter seasonal drinks are coming out, and one of them is one of my creations from I guess a couple years ago, because it's their second time bringing it out. It's a coquito latte, so I love. I mean, making drinks and creating signature drinks to me is like a passion. I love doing it so much. And I love having the opportunity to have the freedom of making some things and then collabing with Amber and Addison, seeing what they think. But I love the challenge of let's create a tasty seasonal drink that our baristas can efficiently make syrups. It's just the whole process, right? Of how you got to think about making something. But the coquito latte is coming out, and that is just obviously I'm Puerto Rican. I lived in Puerto Rico, and coquito is our main winter drink, our seasonal holiday drink, and it's a riff on an eggnog, but a lot of coconut flavors, a lot of spices, cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, and rum in the real version. Some good to me, it has to be Bacardi. Bacardi rum. So I was I have to make a drink based on that. It's perfect time of the year, and so I was able to find a way to make a alcohol-free coquito latte. Yeah, it's really good.
You can bring your own rum. You can bring your own rum.
Yeah.
I haven't had a coquito. Is that similar to a rum chata kind of flavor, or?
Yeah. Very similar.
Okay.
We make big batches of it, and we put them in bottles, and it's a lot of coconut milk, coconut cream, sweetened condensed milk, or if you want to make a vegan, sweetened condensed coconut milk you can use as well. But yeah, I just try to get those flavors into a syrup form that we can use for a latte, and we've gotten really, really good feedback and response from it. People like it, not just obviously my Puerto Rican fellow Puerto Ricans, but it's a good flavor, and I've had some good response. Yeah, people love it, which makes me happy. I was able to make it.
It's awesome. It's such a good
sounds
drink.
super yummy.
Yeah, for good.
All right.
And then
all right.
Currently is the My Morning Jacket, which got this weekend to try it. That's it.
What is it? You say?
The My Morning Jacket drink is the last weekend to try it, so better get it.
What is that? What's in that one? Tell the people what's in that
one. We use
the
black walnuts. Yeah. Black walnut flavors with vanilla and spices. That one I keep a secret because that one's close to my heart. It's a trade secret. It's a perk secret. So
it's
we'll
really good.
All right.
So,
So you,
so getting to Grant Park. Sorry, that is a fun like side detour to take. But
Yeah.
so yeah, I think that so the next stage after H2, kind of a current stage really.
Sure.
Opening now, new location for Perk in Grant Park. You want to tell us a little bit about your transition to that? And
Yeah.
that's
Absolutely. So we just opened our Park location in October. So super excited to be in that neighborhood. So I'm also the GM there. So I'm running both our Eastlake and Grand location. I started to get involved with that project a few months ago. It was like in September, and just really assisting like Amber and anything I can do to help on the build out process. And we hired some amazing staff there. We got some really good leaders there as well. We have a barista who's been with us for a couple years, who went up the ranks as well. Barista, lead barista at Eastlake, and now she's the shop manager there, Emily Craft. So some really, really good leaders there. Uh, and yeah, we just opened up in October, and it's also our second shop that has a full kitchen with dedicated kitchen staff there, and so we're cranking out crunch wraps in Grand Park.
So many crunch wraps. That shop
Yes.
sells so many crunch wraps.
Yeah.
people like to.
First week there, didn't we sell like more crunch wraps than Eastlake for like that weekend
Crazy.
Oh wow.
That
period?
Saturday,
So,
the first Saturday,
yeah.
it sold more crunch wraps than Eastlake ever has in a day. It was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember watching it. It was like doop, 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 just kept selling them. Like, that crunch wrap
Yeah.
add sausage. That's a good order.
That was good.
I have a 4-hour drive home back to Savannah. So if I get a crunch wrap with a sausage, I eat half of it like as I'm starting my drive and then set it down, and then like somewhere along the drive I get hungry again and I eat the rest of it. It's a perfect 4-hour ride.
I'm
meal.
jealous that you can do that. I would have that idea in my head and like put it down, and then a minute later, as I'm like, you know what, I'll just finish it.
Yeah, I can't eat anymore.
So what are
Uh-oh.
some special things about Grant Park? I mean, I know there was a lot that went into the design process. I don't know if you want to start. How would you like to start? You want to walk us through either walking in,
Sure.
a little like visual audio tour?
Yeah. Well, I guess to those listening in, if they're like not familiar, like obviously, Grant Park is right next to Oakland Cemetery, which is like a big tourist area in Atlanta. People love going there. I myself never had a chance to go until I started to be involved with the Grant Park project, opening our location there, and
So I need a
really
quick
nice
detour
area.
on that because I'm not familiar with the area, and that sounds crazy to me.
Yeah,
But
it's like the biggest cemetery and oldest cemetery, right, Alan, in
oh,
Atlanta?
okay, yeah.
One of the
At
older
least one
ones.
of them. Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's early 1800s, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So really nice area to walk, and so right next to there you have our location with a great parking lot, and um, so like when you walk in, some of the big things that you notice, I would say starting off is our branding. It's like one of the first locations where Brad was from the beginning was involved with, designing that area with branding and with Amber. And I think that is one of the big aspects is like how curated that space is and how much it looks like Perk. Like when you walk in, you just like, yeah, this is a Perk location. And it's extremely inviting. Man, we got that train
Yeah,
coming
settle
by.
down, settle
That's
down,
me.
Philip. Jeez.
You know the train.
The Savannah train. Dang, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you walk in, we got that first thing you see. We have an awesome little merch area, a retail area. But we have all of our offerings of retail bags of coffee that we're selling all lined up there, and our merch. And then when you walk in, you just see our awesome bar with the lighted up lightning bolt that everyone likes. It's a really good eye catcher. And I think another thing that's extremely awesome with Grand Park is we have a really good uh, outdoor seating. I'd say it's like our biggest outdoor seating yet, which may change later, but yeah, like it looks great. It's covered and it's heated, and we have a sick
Mhm.
mural out there too.
Yeah, Grant Park is so when Philip and I first started really thinking about doing coffee shops, we started thinking about doing Atlanta, as where we would open them. Grant Park was, one put my finger on the map of like where we should open our first shop. It was Grant Park. And in fact, it was actually in a building that is on the other side of the parking lot from where we ended up opening this one. But so for people not from Atlanta or who aren't familiar with Atlanta, Atlanta's sometimes called a city in a forest. Like it's a really green city, and there's parks everywhere. And Grant Park's 130, 131 acres, something like that. Huge park. I mean, there's an entire zoo inside of it,
Oh wow.
and that neighborhood. I mean, it's just got tons and tons of like trees, and particularly there's live oaks everywhere, which Savannah, like that's the thing that living in Savannah, like that's just one of the quintessential parts of Savannah's live oaks and like the Spanish moss hanging off
Yeah.
and everything,
Yep.
um and just kind of like the vibes of Grant Park just kind of resonated with kind of where Perk was in Savannah, and like it just made total sense. And yeah, this area is like where we wanted to be, and actually because of like lease restrictions, we couldn't open in the building we wanted to. Like we
Mhm.
couldn't lease it. And then as soon as an opportunity looked like it opened up, it was I don't know. It might have taken me 5 minutes to be on the phone with the person who told me no for years. Like we can't lease this to you. Like hey, it's
Yeah.
time. Like can we lease this now? Yeah, I mean, we really, really wanted to be in this neighborhood. It's such a good fit, and it's so cool to just be part of a really iconic part of the city that's a good fit for who we are and what we do.
Yeah, and to add on to that, this is our fifth shop, I guess, and I feel like this is the shop where everything came together. Like I feel like we had H2 is really great. We worked with a designer on that, and they helped us to organize, or an architect, I guess, and they helped us to organize a lot of our thoughts. And two, with both getting those thoughts together and having them be jive with like who we were as a company, what we were doing with the rest of our brand, and then also even the vendors we were using for whatever it might be, all the restaurant equipment, all building a bar and finding a contractor, all of those things. We did that once, and then we did Virginia Highlands, which is our second shop, and that was done basically DIY by Amber and Alan in like 2 months, and and that was really great. But that was completely a retrofit. We really tried to get that one open as quickly as we could, and because of that, we made some concessions to be able to hit a timeline. And it's a great shop. Don't get me wrong. And we put out all the same coffee drinks and all the things that shop needs to put out. And then at that then we kind of sort of worked with a contractor and DIY'd Perk Shop, and kind of lessons learned from a lot of that. I think that bar turned out really great when we went from being the pop up and Perk Shop to being a more permanent
Yeah.
shop. I think but we learned a lot of lessons there, just building out that shop and working on bar flow, and all the heights that we want everything at, and all the visuals and some of that, so you can see the steps. Like if you were to go, I think, from Eastlake and then go to Virginia Highlands and then come down to Perk Shop, I think it's a logical progression that we really, all of it came together. And Brad was on full time. He had created all the branding and the bags and all the things that you see. So then him putting that stamp on that, and Amber knowing all the vendors and exactly how she wants the bar to be laid out. And then it's sort of a combination of a little bit of retrofitting and then a lot of a lot of building and understanding of exactly what we wanted. I feel like it came together really amazingly. And then I think standing in there the first time, we had a real clear understanding of, okay, these, like, we got to take down this wall. And I think we knew we wanted to open it up, and it would be open and to be, more communal, and then to be bright and to be just have energy. And luckily, paint goes a long way too. I think that's one thing that's really cool is we were able to get just what we want, and maybe we went a little bit over budget, probably because of me. But we stayed on, like, I think too, like, I think we also kind of proved a little bit of a concept to ourselves. We can do really great things, but we don't necessarily have to throw a gazillion dollars at it either. So I think moving forward with some shows down the line, when we maybe talk about shops that we're planning, I think we have Grant Park gives us a really, really great sort of model of where to go from here. So really excited about that. There's not a lot of improvement that I think is needed as far as feeling like Perk, like Jesh said, and then hopefully having a bar that our baristas are happy and it can the bar flow's right for them to do what they need to do without a lot of kind of like, who built this? Because I remember being a barista way back in the day, and when you work a system and a bar as many times as a barista has an opportunity, there's a lot of times to kind of keep running into the same corner, or keep saying like, why do I have to go in here to get this? Or why, these are 15 steps and coming behind somebody that doesn't need to happen. So all of those things, I think we've talked about this, and we actually recently added it to our core values, is this idea of constantly improving and constantly trying to look at how do you make incremental changes and progress. And Alan introduced me to an idea called Kaizen, which is exactly that. And so really cool stuff. Really excited for our future bars, because this one feels really right.
Yeah, I mean, everyone involved with like the decision making of efficiency and workflow, like everything is so intentional. Like obviously we have a lot of experience with our previous bars, but I just love that aspect of like how intentional everyone involved is on trying to make sure that the workflow for our teammates, for our baristas, is comfortable. They're able to do their job successfully, safely, and efficiently. And I think it's very evident there in Grant Park of the finding ways to do that while also retrofitting into a spot that was previously another business. So, and like one aspect that I think is unique, mainly for those who work in like coffee industry, is that the bar stainless steel, like on the barista side, and I love that. Like, it's so just like, I don't know, durable. It's the cleanliness factor on it. It's awesome, and I know that like stems from our Savannah perk shop, but yeah, that's just a cool aspect for if there's anyone baristas who are listening. I think it's really
representation of Kaizen on a higher level is the shop progress from going from H2 to Grant Park, right? That the continuous improvement is being personified or exemplified, I guess, rather.
I mean, honestly, I think any barista, because of how intentional we are in creating systems and workflow, any of our baristas from any of our shops can probably work at another shop like that, no problem, and be able to make coffee, pull shots without much direction at all because of how well we do that.
That's awesome. All right, Jesh. So I know you did your homework on this because you listened to the Brad podcast. So all right, at the end, as we're coming up on time, the question that I ask is, what perk coffee best personifies you? Or like, if you were a perk coffee, what would you be? Is the simple way to ask that.
But not like one that you like to drink, one that represents who you are. That's the hard part.
That's the hard part. Yeah.
Like a coffee or a drink we're talking about?
Well, with you can even you can bring it to that next level and pick a drink if you want. We're really gonna level it up. The poor people on episode 25 and beyond, they're gonna. I'm a good times latte with a Neapolitan ice cream and soy milk.
I'm a
I
vanilla
would
dream.
say vanilla dream. A good thing that represents me, I'll just say a combo here. Like, it's the Crunch Wrap with the Coquito Latte.
Boom.
All right,
That's it.
boom.
Nice.
That's
What
gonna be the combo, and that's me right there.
what's
I'm a
the
side of
what's the
sausage.
Even though I can't eat a Crunch Wrap right now because I'm doing a diet, but yeah, it is what it is.
You're supposed
They
to
are-
wait till after the holidays for that.
I can have a Crunch Wrap minus almost everything, but the egg and
Eggs.
meat.
The eggs gotta be okay. Yeah, most diets you can have eggs.
Yeah.
That's
no carbs.
that's an Amber order. Soft scrambled eggs on a plate.
Yeah, with our sausage.
Those are soft scrambled eggs are yummy. I used to hate soft scrambled eggs, but really come to enjoy that like creamy texture.
All right.
Sorry, yeah.
We're
Go ahead.
all dads here. We all have multiple children. I got a dad joke for us to finish us off.
Jeez.
Ready?
Oh
Oh,
god.
dude.
It's not a
I
bad
hope
one.
this
It's
isn't-
not a dirty one.
I
It's
hope
not a bad
nothing like
or
the
a dirty one.
precursor.
It's not a bad or a dirty one.
Okay.
Why did the chicken cross the playground?
Oh.
To get to the other slide. Slide.
Okay. That one was approved. Whew.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have to figure out the editing software after.
Nice.
That
was a
would
good
be
one.
funny if I said that and then the podcast just turned off.
All right. Well, any final thoughts anybody wants to give on Grant Park or experiences that people should want to know? What should I do when I go to a perk shop? They're screaming in my ear right now. I have a connection to the people. Not really.
Ask for
but-
Jesh. Jesh is the best. There's if you don't have Jesh in your life, your life is less meaningful.
No. You know what they need to do is ask the barista questions, talk to them, ask for recommendations. One of the things that we teach obviously is how important for us is guest experience, and we're there to take coffee seriously, but not ourselves. And that all shows from all the way from the beginning interaction on when you're doing your order. So when you come in, just talk to the barista and ask them what's good, and let us show you what we have.
Love that.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes.
All
Love
right.
it.
Thanks for joining us,
Leave
Jesh.
it to Jesh to get the answer correct. I messed up.
You got the answer right.
You want to hear a dad joke? I got it.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody, and we will talk to you in a few weeks.
Why don't moms don't get jokes? I don't know any mom jokes. All right.